Hi everyone, Terry here from the Tag Collab. So before the week is over, I wanted to share with you something that I had put together, inspired by the We Do Not Care Club, which I thought was, if you haven't seen this, it's a woman out of Houston who has created in the spirit of venting about menopause and premenopause, basically made a public statement about all the things she no longer cares about, and women have, and it's caught fire. All these women are in the notes, writing what they don't care about and announcing to the world that they don't care about, and it's just this sort of kind of collective comic relief, and that works on just so many general levels. And so I put together an article here that you'll find, and I'll attach this video to it if you want to go check it out. About why psychologically, I mean, this is such a fantastic thing. Why it's resonated with so many women, how so many women even are creating local chapters, etc. And it got me. So I'm gonna just call out a few of them, and then I'll let you guys read the rest of it. But I think it's one of the most one of the greatest examples of reframing, or what we call cognitive reappraisal, right? Which is kind of flipping the script and taking back control of a situation that feels out of control, like you are in control. By you saying, I don't care, means that you're sort of reframing it and then putting it back into a position where you are now empowered. And so now, instead of your mind, that mind that is often the fight or flight mode under lots of stress, is now one that is allowing for your thinking or executive function to make decisions. And she does it, of course, in what is another incredible coping mechanism, which is comedy. There's also, I think one of the other really enlightening things about it, and I know it's kind of geeking out about this super funny thing, which is just great in general and whatever, and let's not kill it with over explanation and science, but the whole, sort of like cognitive overload, like there is such thing as decision fatigue. There is a finite amount of great decisions we can make. And as women, where I hear more and more women are like burned out, probably including myself, that, we need to be pickier and create some space around all of the decisions that we have to make, not everything. You cannot care about everything. And so it reminded me of sort of with this other book, and I'm seeing it come up quite often, this sort of mentality, and giving women permission to create some space between these things that are just like totally stressing us out, and in order to just, I don't know, give us back our power, I guess. You've got Mel Robbins with Let Them theory. There's one book that I read many, many years ago, and I loved it because it was the first time that it created for me a visual picture of that you cannot care about everything. You cannot, and excuse my language, but it's kind of like you have a bank, like a financial institution, and in it you deposit, let's call them folks, and as they call them, and you can't spend them on everything, because then you're not going to have them for when they really, really matter. And I think we live in a society now where we're just overburdened, overstimulated, over everything, and creating boundaries, which is often very difficult for us as women, especially Latina women, and I'm super guilty of that. This has been sort of a collective sigh of relief that many women have leaned into, and so I wanted to call it out for its brilliance, and also just explain in a little bit more detail why some of these type of coping mechanisms actually are something that you can apply in other ways, and just more thoroughly explain them so that you guys can all take full advantage of them. And then in a conversation I was having today, because with someone, a good friend, I was saying, I think I've been part of the We Do Not Care Club, not just as a premenopausal or menopausal woman, but since I became a first-time mother. And it brings me to a great story that I have found to be extremely powerful when talking to other women. And so it really goes that when I went back for maternity leave, I was running a newsroom here in Miami, I was second in charge. And I was kind of like the mom of the newsroom. They would call me for everything. Imagine, news is 24/7. So you're on all the time. And, you can't be physically in two places at the same time. You're either here or you're there. And by that, I mean both, physically and mentally. It's just, it takes a toll, and I think we as Latina women have a tendency to wear multitasking as a badge of honor, and it's not. And we need to stop immediately from doing that because it's killing us. And so, when I went back to the newsroom, which I was, by the way, unapologetically super happy to go back to work. I love my job. I love the mission of news and journalism. And I said to the woman who was helping me with my children, because I did need help, I said to her, you're going to see the first time he smiles, the first time he takes a step, all of that. And I want you to know that it's not official until I see it. I don't know what illuminated me to say that, or to use that as a way to protect my own energy from, feeling this amount of guilt. You're already feeling guilty because you're going back to work. And then on top of that, you're going to feel guilty because you can't be there. Like, hello, you just don't, none of us have neither the financial privilege, nor is it physically possible to be in two places at the same time. And so, it was in a story that I tell others, which is hilarious. I mean, this woman literally would win an Oscar every Monday morning when, after being with my children on the weekend, I would be like, oh my God, here's the kid, my son Santino, take him, and I would make my way off to work. And I would say to her, oh my God, you're not going to believe what Santino did. Da, 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 da. He took a step. And she'd be like, oh my God. And I used to think in my head, this woman's winning an Oscar, but whatever, it doesn't matter. It's what works for me. Right. And so, I take that because I think that it's something that helped whenever I had other women that came back to the office who worked for me. I sat them down and I said, for whatever reason, I had never been given permission by anybody else to do that. I was just illuminated to do it, but I felt like it was appropriate to tell other women around me that, listen, this is how you make it work. You make it work for you, as opposed to you trying to bend in all these different directions for everybody else. And so recently, and this is now years later, one of the women that worked for me, and this is what prompted me to want to share it with you, it came to me and thanked me for that advice and said to me, I'll never forget what you told me. Motherhood, being a working mother, would have been a totally different experience for me had I not heard what you said. The official version is when he does it and I see it. Or, for example, birthdays. You know what? They're young enough. They don't know. You can't be there that day. Okay, no problem. You know what? It's not the end of the world. It's a date. I used to joke with my kids. I'm like, your birthday is when I'm available. So, anyhow, for anybody who needs to hear that permission, because I say this because I certainly would have loved to have heard this out loud, to give me permission. And another friend of mine, I love talking to people because they inspire me so much and give me great advice, said to me, when I was talking about writing a book or creating content, says, your content's going to hit the mark when you finally begin to talk about the things you needed to hear when your younger self needed to hear. And so now, as a 47-year-old mother to teenagers, having lived that and being very intentional and unapologetic about it while they were growing up, I share that with all of you. I shared it with some people one-on-one, but now there's an opportunity to do this with a larger group of people, and I certainly hope that this means something. And if it does, please let me know. The best feedback is the one that you hear, like, oh my God, I am making an impact. If not, why am I doing this? I can be doing 100 other things, but I don't know why. I feel like I should be here and sharing some of these things that I've shared at a one-on-one level with other women and with other minorities, wanting to share this with you. So if you like what you hear, please continue to subscribe to Substack. I'm also on podcasts. I've got, all the social media, trying to organize myself to put it all together, to be consistent at it all. It's a work in progress, I confess. But anyhow, keep going. Keep telling me that feedback, and I will keep going if this is something that proves valuable to all of you.